thank you for getting sober and finding sobriety and paving the way for other people to come in after you, like myself. Your story is a very powerful one. You are an Olympic figure skater, born and raised in Chicago, and had some trouble with the law.
Oh yeah.
Let's start off early childhood. What was that like?
Very typical. Just a very energetic child. My mom put me in everything. It's like gymnastics, swimming. I was still doing dance performances in the room at night, and just took me skating one day, and that was it. I was like, "Yep, that's her thing."
What age did you start skating?
3.
Oh, you were young, just a baby.
Yeah.
And did you have siblings?
No.
No
Spoiled
siblings,
rotten
only
only
child.
child.
Okay, only child syndrome.
Yep.
What was that like being an only child?
Well, I grew up, I had my aunt and she had 2 kids. So I never felt like I was an only child. Like I grew up in a household where there were other kids, like Rochelle and Trent. My aunt's children were there and my mom was there with me. So I never felt really like alone, especially growing up. And I, was always at the rink and there was always kids at the rink. And, like any sports is kind of very group and family orientated, even though we're out there skating alone, you get in this little bubble and the skating world is definitely a bubble.
Yeah.
So
you had a family there as well.
yeah,
That's awesome.
yeah.
And so you were skating. When did you start skating competitively?
10 years old, started
Okay.
doing competitions. And yeah, I mean, I just competed and just had no clue what I was doing. Just went in for a Cabbage Patch doll or, those things. It seemed like, it was no pressure. And I think I was more of a performer than competitor.
Mhm.
And uh, as I got older, it was harder for me to compete
Mhm.
because I wasn't brewed that way as a person. And unfortunately with the sport, you have to be competitive. But for me, it was always about entertaining the audience, doing the shows, having the costumes and skating to great music.
Yeah.
That was really my thing.
Yeah, it was more, you had an artistic side
Yeah.
more so than a
Definitely.
competitive side.
Yeah.
Which that's amazing. So 10 years old, you start skating competitively. What was life like at home with your mom? Had you ever met your dad?
No, my dad left when I was born. He didn't want anything to do with me. He
Mm.
just, yeah. And my mom found out that he actually was married by law, had a wife and 2 kids that lived in a different state. And she did go after him and he did sign my birth certificate. And that's where she found out because he showed up at the courthouse with them. And she was like, she had no clue. And I think he paid like 2 months child support and completely disappeared.
Yeah.
And it never bothered me though. I got so much love at home. And it was like, people were always like, oh, don't you want to find your dad? And, I understand people have this need to like, I just want to know why. I
Mhm.
never did. If
Yeah.
he showed up at my door, I would be like, where were you my whole life?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know you.
Mhm.
Like, no. So it never, luckily, I never like fell into that, like, oh, I have to find him. I want to know why. I want to yell at him or anything. I was kind of like, more like, F you.
Yeah, of course, of course.
Kind of a thing. You don't want me? Well, I don't want you.
Yeah.
Because we don't want to be with people who really don't want to be with us.
Yeah.
So,
Well, it sounds like at a young age, you were extremely grateful for what you did have. And
yeah.
that was a loving mother who was always
Hmm.
there for you. And
Yeah.
then that skating family,
Yeah.
which is a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
Because there are a lot of people out
Yeah.
there who don't have
And I
mom
had
or
my
dad.
aunt too. So, it was very controversial of at that time in the 80s, like, oh, being raised by 2 females, it was like, really? And I took a lot of heat for that. My mom took a lot of heat for it.
Mm,
But I honestly feel that God just made it that way for me. And it was the best.
yeah.
I mean, it was awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I got a lot of love, a lot of love. And it's great because now I give that to my child so much and I know where it comes from.
Yeah.
And yeah,
Is your mom still alive today?
she is still alive.
Shout out your mom.
Hi, Mom, I love you.
That is no,
Yeah,
seriously, good for her.
yeah,
Good for her for, taking the reins. And
yeah,
so
yeah.
when you turned 10, you're skating competitively. Were you taking time away from school at that point, or were you still going to school?
I was still in school, and I did do junior high as I got older and everything. Once I got into the junior highs, and then things started to get complicated because then I was older. We then moved to Colorado Springs, and I started to get more internationally known. So then there were more competitions that were overseas, or there was nationals. And with the school, they had skaters there before because it was at the Broadmoor World Arena, so it was a very famous place. So they knew already what I only had to do, like, the mandatory subjects, and
Hmm.
then, like, I was never there for lunch period. I did have a hard time in high school. I got beaten up. Kids just didn't like me, because it was like, "Oh, Nicole the skater." And it was hard because I was so accepted in one world and then not accepted in the other, which kinda created this multiple personality person of who's the real Nicole, Nicole the skater, Nicole the person. And I struggled with it. And I did for a very long time because it was like I had two sets of clothing. I was two different people. And I went all goth, when I wasn't at the rink, and I
Hmm.
was painted my walls black and listened to The Cure, and, rock the combat boots and
Yeah,
torn
yeah, yeah.
fishnets. And then all of a sudden on the ice, I was like, Miss Ralph Lauren, little Barbie princess,
Hmm.
so it was a really identity crisis, I feel, growing up.
Yeah.
And I couldn't understand. They always, they really labeled me as the wild child because of those things. People knew I was like that. And I mean, honestly, I think I was always fighting of me just wanting to be me, and it wasn't allowed because they wanted this kind of picture perfect kind of skater. And I could so pull it off, but it also wasn't just me, and I can still be that way when I need to be. And it's just very natural for me to be like that. And I change all of the time. But back then it was like, you can't do that. You can't do that. And I had boyfriends, and I smoked cigarettes, and I was drinking and doing all the bad things that teenagers do. And it was like, oh my God, you can't do that. And I was like, why not?
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, I was the wild one, like the
Yeah.
name of my book.
Was painting the walls black,
Oh
more
yeah.
of like this goth persona you were taking on, was that truly who you were deep down? Or was it more of a rebellion towards, let's say, the kids at school who maybe you weren't accepted by? Hey guys, quick update. Every Monday night, I host the Rise Above Recovery meeting. It's an open meeting for any addiction, alcohol, drugs, gambling, food, whatever you're struggling with, you're welcome here. To get the meeting link and weekly updates, just email me at kevin@riseabovepod.com and I'll add you to the list. Also, if this podcast has helped you, please like, subscribe, or leave a rating. It helps us continue to spread the message of hope. Lastly, if you'd like to go even deeper with Rise Above, check out our Patreon. Supporters get access to live interviews and can chat with guests after the interview. Thank you.
I don't know. I feel like it was a little bit of that era of I didn't fit in with the rich kids at the high school, and there were very rich kids, very kind of snobby, the football, the jocks, all this kind of a stuff. I didn't, I wasn't accepted there. So I kind of like leaned towards the weirdo crowd, as they
Yeah.
would call it. And because they just didn't care, they were fine. And then the music, of course, took over me. I'm very much influenced by all different kinds of music, and I can change even daily just by a song. I can cry in a second with a song, and I'm still like that. I mean, I've gone from in the summer, I'm country, I'm cowboy boots and summer dresses, and all the other seasons, I'm like classic rock, REO Speedwagon, Def Leppard, and that's kind of me. And I have more fun skating now because I can skate to whatever I want to. I can wear whatever I want to. And I got no pressure. And I just do my thing. And I go to the rink, do my thing, and I leave. That's it.
So at what you said you were getting no people knew who you were internationally. At
Mhm.
what point did you start to realize that you were better than a lot of the people around you and that you really had a talent?
Um, I don't even think it was like that even I recognized it, and that was the thing is, like, I had so much talent, and I didn't know I never see it. I never saw it. Like, my mom has, like, 500 VHS tapes of she'll put it on, she just, like, starts crying, and, like, you were just a star from day one, and I never, like, looked at myself that way. I was just doing my thing, but even from a young age, I was on higher level sessions because I was doing more jumps than kids my age were doing.
Mhm.
I was, you know, pushed to the senior level when I should have been a novice. So, I don't even think I ever, like, stepped back and realized because I was just doing whatever, was needed to be done, and then also trying to create some kind of a person outside of skating.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, this dual identity almost.
yeah,
And that's tough to keep up
yeah.
with.
It's hard. Yeah,
With skating, you have to
mhm,
dress a certain way,
yeah,
hold yourself to a certain standard,
yeah,
and then
yeah.
you're going to school and being who you really want to be,
Mhm.
and it's exhausting at a
It
young age,
Yeah,
especially.
it's exhausting, but it's also, I would never not go somewhere not looking appropriate for that occasion. You know what I mean? It's like even now if I would go to a skating event, I would dress up because I do feel there's a responsibility that people do expect you and want to see you looking clean, together, nice. It represents yourself.
Mhm.
So those things are important in life in general, not just in skating world, but anywhere you go. When you see somebody looking kinda not taking care of themselves, we don't wanna judge, but we do see it.
Mhm.
Like, when I go to the rink now, even the girl at the front desk, she's like, "You always you're always wearing something cute. You're always put together," or "You and your son are matching," kind of
Mm,
thing, and it's not even that I plan it, it's just very natural for me.
yeah,
Yeah, because
showing
if
up.
somebody would come to the rink and see me, and I just look like death or like I just don't care, I think that doesn't represent myself very well.
Mhm.
They want I was somebody, I was in Olympics, I was a national champion. People do look up to those things. And if they're going to see me just completely not being taken care of, you kind of lose respect,
Yeah,
you know?
to yourself.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
that too.
So through high school, you're skating, you're, going to the core classes that you need to go to. When was your first run-in with alcohol and or drugs?
So I would have to say alcohol, I started smoking when I was 14, cigarettes. And that was really because the pressure of losing weight. And it was like, "Oh, well, you smoke and all the ballerinas do it," and really a lot of skaters do. I'm gonna be honest with you about that. But, I couldn't buy them, so I would, walk, like, 2 blocks to a cigarette machine. Like, I know, back in the day, and, stealing quarters, from my mom's purse and things like that, literally. And alcohol, I have to say, the first time, um, I went and did a show in Boston, and I think I was 14, 15, something around there, and I got invited to one of the Harvard parties, and I remember I was, like, 14 or 15 doing a keg stand, and, yeah, I still don't drink beer because I never recovered from it.
Yeah, yeah,
But,
yeah.
I didn't really have an alcoholic palate.
Mhm.
Now I actually like wine, and it's really interesting, but, I never had, like, "Oh, I need a drink," or e throughout my whole life, really. And as I got older, it seemed to, like, creep in a little bit,
Mhm.
but it was available, and I was old and older, and I felt like, like, well, you want a nice glass of wine with a good piece of meat and, things like this. It seemed like, well, you're an adult. That's what adults do now. You have a drink at the end of the day kind
Mhm.
of
Yeah,
thing.
yeah, yeah.
It's so true. But, with drugs, it started slow. I think it wasn't until I was, like, 16, first was weed, of course, the gateway of all gateways,
Mhm.
and, I didn't really like it. It was the only thing I could get my hands on, And we were drug tested in competitions, and I knew it stayed in your system 28 days. So it really wasn't possible almost. And I didn't like it. I didn't figure out till later on in life why I didn't like it. My serotonin, the way that I work, I need uppers. I like life. I needed to feel, I want to enhance where I am and do it more. I don't want to be out of reality. And I was like a mashed potato and then I ate everything, which was the worst thing in the world because I was always like, they're always like, you have to lose weight, you have to lose weight, you have to
Mm.
lose weight, you have to lose weight. So I tried acid, not my thing, tried shrooms, not my thing, because I was taken out of reality.
Mhm.
And I never took those kind of drugs to get out of reality. So they just weren't my thing. And it wasn't until I was 17, I did coke for the first time. And I remember doing it in the bathroom. I was in New York. I was at a party. I was on tour. And like, do you really want to do this? And I said, fuck yeah, I want to do this. And, I didn't even know what I was doing. I think I dropped like half of it on the floor. But the thing that attracted me to it was I had this conversation for hours. And I was super fierce and super like everything just went like this.
Mhm.
Everything came together. And I didn't eat. I didn't eat. So years of bulimia also, it was like, I don't have to throw up anymore. I can do coke. Couldn't skate on it, but
Mhm.
I could do coke. So that was the attraction with that. And that seemed at that time of my life, it was only when it was off season. So it wasn't like it was there all the time or I could just find it. I only knew like one person in New York and
Mhm.
we were in New York once a year. So it was like that once a year kind of treat thing. Yeah. So
Don't you hate how it always starts like that?
yeah.
It's just you can kind of
Yeah.
control it in the beginning. You hadn't crossed that
Hmm.
invisible line yet,
Hmm.
and you trick your mind
Yeah. The
into thinking,
functional drug user. Yeah.
yeah.
And I know people who go to work at big offices and are high people and they party all weekend. And when Sunday hits, they're done. They don't touch a thing. And then they go their whole week, not coming down, no problems, no issues. And they don't touch anything till Friday.
Yep.
And that's how they do it. And I mean, it just, no,
No. It's
no.
Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday,
Yes.
Friday. Like it
Yeah.
is out
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
control
Yeah.
right from the jump.
Yeah.
Um, but it's crazy because when I was in active addiction
Mm-hmm.
really bad,
Mm-hmm.
I always reference that time when I was 16, 17, 18, 19 years old where I was like,
Mm-hmm.
no, I used to be able to do opiates when they were around. And then the days that I couldn't get them, it was okay. I was
Yeah.
content.
Right.
I can get back to that
Right.
place, but I was way past
Way
that.
pass out.
So,
Yeah.
okay. So you graduate high school.
Yep.
When do things really start to ramp up with skating?
In 1995, when I
Okay.
won nationals, we were, then we moved a lot. So at that point, we were in Detroit and
You're 18 at this point?
17.
17
Yeah.
still. Okay.
So I won nationals. It wasn't expected to win. And I was trained very, very hard. Before the nationals, I got into a situation with a friend who gave me the code to get in her garage. We used to party in her basement. And I actually was at a competition in St. Petersburg, and her house was robbed. And I had no clue or anything. When I came back, I went to see her. She didn't answer the door. The father was never home. She gave me the code. I went in and I saw the place was just trashed. And I was calling her name. She wasn't there. I come upstairs. The father was there and he was like, "You came back in this house. You robbed me. I called the police." He called the police. Yeah, it was a big mess.
You were arrested.
Hmm.
You were booked.
No, I was in a holding
Oh,
because it was the girl. Would not, she with the police, she said, "Yeah, I gave her the code, but you can't tell my dad because he'll kill me, he'll ground me." And I'm like, "I'm going to jail. They think I robbed your house." And she was like, "No, no, no." She would not tell. Many, many, many years later, I found out That girl actually died of heroin in that basement.
What were the repercussions of that whole situation?
That whole situation was hard because I had to prepare for nationals. Um, they I was in a holding thing and I had to call my mom, I had to call my coach, and they came and got me, and I had to get a lawyer, and nothing was really moving. I had to go to court and all this stuff. And it was kind of put on hold because I had to do nationals. And I went to nationals. I was, so trained in everything because I was freaking out, like, am I going to jail or what's going on? So I was military trained more than ever in my life. And I went there and I didn't believe I would win. It was kind of like it was already called who was going to win, and I just needed to skate clean, make the world team because it was you had to be top 3, and that was the focus. And when they told me I won, I completely freaked out. I was like, "I won?" It was, and people always ask me like, "Oh, what was that? Your nationals must have been the highlight of your career," and that, and for so many years, I had to kind of act like that. And even though it kind of was in the back of my head, I was like, "Yeah, and I might be going home and going to jail."
Oh my God.
So that was the beginning. Yeah.
So you have that in the back of your head. You have just accomplished what
Yeah, I'm a national champion.
n-
Yeah.
almost
Yeah.
nobody accomplishes in
Right.
life.
Yeah.
And
And nobody knew about it. The judge actually ended up dropping the whole thing. I had to do like probation, and I did a campaign called Touching the Heart, Raising the Spirit for kids, going to underprivileged schools and talking to them about skating. So I did that, and it was sealed and everything, so press didn't know, and it didn't. Somebody got into it. So by the time I went to Worlds, which was in London with the London press, it was a mess.
it came out.
Yeah.
What year was the Worlds?
So that's still 95.
Okay, still in
Yeah.
95. You
Mhm.
go to the
Yeah. It's
Worlds.
about a month later.
This spreads now, this news.
Yeah. With the
And
British tabloids.
and
And I had the US team, like our members, our team leader and everything. I mean, everybody really was around me, so they couldn't get to me because they just, wanted to rip me apart. And
yeah.
it was hard. And, I did skate well. I ended up third. I did won the initial round and then ended up third, which is still a big accomplishment. It
Yeah.
was a big thing. And then I got invited to the big tour and started tour life. And the money just was flowing in. Flowing
What
in,
was
honey.
tour life like? Tell us.
It's like everything you think tour life is. We were rock stars. Everything was red carpet. We stayed only in Four Seasons and the best high-end places. Um, we had our tour buses that were always full of alcohol, always full of junk food or anything. We took private planes. I mean,
Were you making a ton of money?
ton,
Wow.
a lot.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's amazing.
because it was also that time of Tanya and Nancy,
Yep.
so skating was so popular. I
Yep.
mean, it was, like, insane. If I could have hit at a better time, that was the time,
Did
literally.
you had an endorsement deal with Campbell's, was it?
So, yep, Campbell's was, also they sponsored Champions on Ice, which I was on. First was John Hancock, and then it went to Campbell's, and, I worked for Danskin for 3 years. They were an amazing company. I was in Vogue magazine. Um, I have tons of Campbell stuff. Yeah.
To this
We did
day.
commercial this day. Actually, I almost wore my jacket today, but it was so old school. I was like,
That's
"Mom, I
amazing.
can't do this."
You're 18, 19 when you're on tour?
So I was 17. So my mom came with me
All
because
this happened at 17?
yeah,
Oh my God.
yeah, yeah. A lot happened at 17.
Your mom came with you on tour?
Yeah, she did for 3 years.
Okay.
And just to keep that eye on me. Thank God.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So I couldn't get that out of control
Mhm.
yet. Yet. But yeah, she came on and she did it. And tour's hard. I mean, we live this crazy life of, you know, you're in 76 cities in 3.5 months. The Olympic year, I think we did like 120 shows. And, you spend like 3 months with people, and by the end, you're like, so I don't want to see any of you. I'm sick of you.
I need a break.
I need a break. I don't want to see you. And you get on this pattern of arriving, having amazing catering, half-hour warm-up, and then you do the show. You got your performance, you got opening and closing, then you sign autographs after, then you're either on the bus, or I think our longest bus ride was only like 3 hours, so they weren't like really long ones. And then
Mhm.
you stay at a beautiful hotel. You're just, and then you sleep all day.
Yeah.
And bus, you get your book, and it tells you what time is bus call, what time is luggage call, and you live this kind of life, and you live out of your suitcase,
Yeah.
literally. But we had everything. I mean, everything and I think, the owner, he knew what was going on. There was bed hopping. There was everything going on. I mean,
Yeah.
we were always drinking. We were always partying. It really did not matter as long as you skated good.
Yeah.
So, and you didn't get caught pretty much.
Yeah.
So,
Were
yeah.
you also, I mean, it sounds like a lot of partying, right? A lot of fun, but did you feel a lot of pressure too during this time?
Well, you have the pressure of a lot of places, like, a lot of people in certain areas, like, Boston crowd is a big skating crowd. You wanted to skate good. New York, California. So there are places where you see a whole bunch of people, are going to be there. And sometimes you just don't skate well. And you only have that one time to go out there. And when you don't skate well, it's devastating,
Mm.
because it's like, some fans paid to see me skate, and I just fell over my ass on the ice.
Mm.
It's like you just crumble, and you don't even want to see them after, but you have to walk by them in this big line and sign autographs, and you just feel like shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was always really hard for me to deal with, because, we always want to go out and skate great. And when we don't, it feels like a tremendous letdown, not only to yourself, but to your fans.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So 1998 Winter Olympics.
Hmm.
Can you take us through how you qualified for the Olympics
So you have to do
what that?
nationals
Yep.
again. And in 97, my coach, we were at Worlds, and he had a heart attack and died. Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah. So we had two programs, short program and long program. And we did the short, and then you have like a day. Supposedly he went to the hospital that night. He had heartburn, but nobody thought a big thing about it. We were in Switzerland, and the day before the competition, all the officials and my mom, they all came into my room, and their faces were like dead. And I was like, "Oh, what's going on?" And they're like, "He didn't make it." And I was yeah. So that was really it was horrible. There was a balcony. I bolted for it, and I had like four people just hold me, because he was like a father to me. And it was so unexpected. And, everybody's like, "No, you have to skate." I was like, "I am not skating. I am not skating." They're like, "He'd want you to skate. You have to skate." I knew I wouldn't be able to skate. I went out there, and I still regret that I didn't fight harder to say I'm not skating, because I wasn't even there. I
Mm.
skated, but I just knew there's no way I can pull this off. And the whole skating community and everyone there, my coach Carlo, he had 4 Olympic champions. So he was very well known with everybody politically in the skating world. He had nothing but the best. And I mean, they had a huge funeral there. There was a funeral back home. Yeah.
How old was he?
I don't remember how old he was.
Yeah.
Not that old.
Not old enough to have a
Not old
heart
enough to
attack.
have a heart attack. Yeah,
Yeah.
put it that way.
Ugh, I'm sorry.
So it's okay. I
Yeah.
mean, there was a long period, and especially during the book process, when I had to tap into that, and I had breakdowns during the book, because reliving those things. But now I'm fine. I let it go. I worked with a alignment coach during the process of this book, and it helped me tremendously. Because I had to, so many memories I just completely blocked out, like severely cemented wall, like not even there. And I had to break down that wall and relive those things again. And some things I thought I would cry about, I didn't. And then other things I'd be like, no, I got this. Totally had a breakdown. So it was, doing a book is not an easy thing.
Yeah.
Reliving your life is not easy either.
Yeah.
So, but now I'm just like, this weight has been just gone of so many things. And it was hard even with my mom. My mom was amazing during this process of the book also because she has all these albums, those old school photo albums. And she had them from when I was born to 98, pretty much. And so before an episode that we would film, I knew, where we were going. So I would come up to Questa and I'd be like, it was like my cheat sheet. It was amazing. And then it was hard though, because we ended up arguing because she had so much on her side, so, and she would tell me like, oh, it was like this. And I was like, then I had to like shut her off, like, but how did I feel about it? And some moments were like, I don't even know how I felt about it, and so it was like, it was difficult. And then some things she remembered, I totally didn't remember. And then I remembered things she didn't. And then I had to separate. So it was like, it was difficult because I was like trying to remember, how did I feel? And my mom's like, you felt like this. And I was like, are you sure? And
Thanks,
she's
Mom.
like, well, I felt like that. I'm like, yeah, but that's you. So it was, it was like, we got into it a few times.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
sometimes reopening those old wounds that, haven't healed yet,
Mhm.
and facing them head on in sobriety, we go through that
Yeah.
in our fourth and fifth step,
Mhm.
with our sponsors, and going through that inventory and processing things
It's
that
exhausting.
are causing that deep rooted trauma. I mean, it never goes away, but being
Right.
able to cope with it
Mhm.
and really understand what it impacted, how it impacted you. It's
Mhm.
almost not closure, kind of is closure, but just understanding the feelings behind it,
Yeah.
and certain triggers around it, et cetera,
Yeah.
et cetera. But
Mhm.
that is the best way to process things sometimes.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
I thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
That's huge.
Yeah. Your first step is really also awareness,
Yeah.
just to be aware. And, my drug stuff was so heavy, and all the trouble I got in years later and getting into crystal meth and getting arrested and being in jail and sitting there going, this is not where I belong. I
Yeah.
do not belong here. And making I've always been very worried about talking to people about drugs because what worked for me may not work for everyone. And that's the bottom line, that we are all wired differently.
Mhm.
There's amazing help out there. There's great clinics. There's so much information we have now. It's incredible. But for me, strongly, firmly believe, unless it's severely a disease inside your body, that the alcoholic who wakes up and says, I need that drink first thing in the morning. Like, I don't know that feeling. I can
Mhm.
only say my experience. And for me, after jail, I made the conscious decision to say, I am done. I
Mhm.
am so done. So done. And I didn't do rehab. I talked to a counselor, but I was so done
Mhm.
that, yeah, that's all it took for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all it took for me.
Yeah.
And it blows my mind when I hear people like they got in trouble and they went to jail and they got out and then they're back again. I'm like, how do you let that happen? Like, it obviously didn't affect you that much. For me, it destroyed me. It
Mhm.
absolutely, I was in jail for a week in Florida. I was extradited with shackles through an airport, West Palm Beach Airport.
PBI?
Mhm,
Oh, and that's a small airport.
mhm.
Everyone saw you.
And that's the only airport I fly out of, and I tell you, there's not one time I, like, don't get a little kinda sick feeling in my stomach.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, sometimes we are scared straight.
That did it for me.
Yeah.
That did it. Yeah.
So Okay, let's go into then
Okay.
how you ended up getting arrested. So
Okay.
was it 2005, 2006?
So it was 2005.
At this point, you're doing meth.
Yes.
How did you
So
get into?
I stopped competing in 2000. I just was done. I was burnt. And especially after Olympics, I was like, this is not fun anymore. I don't want this. I just don't want this. And continued on with tour. And my aunt died. She was obese. It was the time when everybody was getting the staple surgery. So she was getting diabetes. So they suggested for her to get it. And when you have diabetes and it's like taking a stapler on tracing paper. It just rips. So they did the surgery. It ripped, and one organ after another. So she died, and I ran away to New York. Yeah, I couldn't deal with it, and I ran away to New York. I had money. I lived in Chelsea. I had 5,000 fabulous boys around me who I was Barbie for them, and I was in a sea of clubs with, 6,000 gorgeous gay men with shirtless dancing, and I didn't have to worry about nothing. And I didn't see I tried meth, and I remember I was in New York, and I, was like, oh, can I get some Coke? And uh, my friend looked at me and goes, Coke? So 80s. Nobody does Coke. Like, you can't even find it. Like, you gotta try this. And I tried it and in my nose, and I was like, fuck, that burns. Like I was like, oh, but I loved the feeling. I was like, I could dance 6 hours in like 8-inch heels, like nothing.
Yeah.
And the music was everything for me. So I was always up in the clubs. I started to learn the DJs and then only go when certain DJs would go. And, I lived 2 blocks from the Roxy and 3 blocks from Limelight. And, it was like, I didn't see the sun for months,
Oh,
months. Yeah.
oh, nocturnal,
Mhm.
up all
I
night.
was like, I think I was 89 pounds.
Oh,
I was a bone,
how tall are you?
5'5" and a quarter.
Yeah.
Don't forget the quarter.
Don't forget the quarter.
So important.
So, okay. Yeah, I'm getting anxiety just thinking of that, by the way. Like, I used to love doing coke.
Yeah.
I loved uppers.
I did, but the come downs, I just couldn't deal with the coke. With the meth, it was like you did it and then you were up for 3 days. So you ended up literally just passing out. So you didn't even really have a come down. And I mean, I didn't sleep for so long, so long, and I just didn't eat. I didn't eat anything. And, I felt skinny, I felt fabulous. And, I didn't care. And then I got a call from my agent that Sean Penn saw me in a show and wanted me to be in a movie. So I'm, mess in New York, and all of a sudden I'm like, oh, I'm going to be in a movie. So I was in a part in All the King's Men, and that was exciting. I had to go to New Orleans. I missed the flight like 3 times.
It's what we do best, right?
Yeah. And
So you were in active addiction in that movie?
not in the movie. I didn't travel with it. I was like,
Yeah.
I just didn't want it, and I was too afraid. So I was worried, but I definitely was not normal. And even when I would come to Florida to visit my mom, I never brought anything because I wasn't going to deal with it. When I realized something was really wrong was I would come and, we'd be talking and I just fall asleep.
This is when you weren't doing it.
When I wasn't doing it. Yeah. Because I would come to Florida. I would call it my
Yep.
detox time. So
Yep.
I would always come visit my mom for like 3 days.
Yep.
And I would just, like, I thought I had narcolepsy. And then I realized it's like my system was so
Exhausted. You needed REM. Your body needed REM, and it was craving REM.
I was like falling asleep while I was putting on makeup. I was like,
Holy
yeah.
shit. And because you were just going so hard when you were in New York. Okay, so how do you then start to get involved at a much higher level with meth?
So it was very short that I learned that you could smoke it instead of put it in your nose because it just burnt too bad. So I was like, well, yeah, that's my thing then. So it was, broken pipes all the time and finding things. And it was a while that went on. And, I still had to be functionable because my mom would not go a day without calling. So I still had to hold conversation with her. And she knew something was up, but she wasn't really sure what. And I covered it up as much as I could. But, you can only cover up shit for so long. You can put glitter on it, but it's still shit. So, that really was the case. But it wasn't till after a while my mom would send me like an allowance, like $300 a week. And before at the beginning I had a card and I was pulling out money like crazy and then she went, "You can't do this. You can't. You get $300 a week." So I had $300 a week. At some point that wasn't cutting it anymore. And you know, luckily I never sold my body. I never sold drugs. I just figured, well, I got 3 days to be high, and then I'll just suffer the other days because I know Monday I have that guarantee that that money will be there. So I didn't have to do anything extreme. Um, thank God. Thank God. I mean, I couldn't buy cigarettes. I'd walk around the streets of New York looking for, the hotels back in the day had the ashtrays. So I'd like take the cigarettes from there because cigarettes at that point were $17. And that was for a pack of cigarettes.
Holy shit.
Yeah. So,
In New York, yeah.
and then I started to get hungry and couldn't afford anything. So it was like ramen noodles or whatever I could get at the bodega that was like $1 or $2. And I started to get fat. Like all of a sudden, I was like, oh my God, this isn't, the drug's not working. My body completely reversed it. And I started to get heavy. And then my teeth started to deteriorate. I lost 2 teeth. And then I had abscess all the time. I had them under my arms. I had them on my stomach. I had to go to the hospital several times. And I had 4 once under my armpits. And, I knew that they were looking at me like, she's a druggie.
She did it
And
to
yeah,
herself,
yeah.
which is a
And,
stigma.
I'm laying there and my arms are on this thing like I'm on a cross, and they have to cut an abscess. They have to literally cut it and then put tissue in it to drain it. And I'm laying there like, but it didn't stop me. My face was destroyed. I had, abscess. I couldn't cover it up anymore. And then I would get upset because one of my favorite DJs, and I didn't even have $20 to get in. And then it was like, I couldn't even go out unless I knew the guy at the front that I could get in for free.
Yeah.
So like everything just started to down spiral. The friends got less. And I had one friend that I really loved a lot. And he's like, well, why don't you just hit it? And I said, well, what do you mean hit it? And he's like, "Well, are you scared of needles?" I said, "Clearly not, because I have tattoos everywhere." And tried it, and it was like an euphoria of like you felt like an empty glass and somebody's pouring water in it and you're just going you could feel it just lift all the way up when I injected. And it was like, wow. Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yep.
Y-
So then we were on that. And then I couldn't shoot myself. So I was putting holes in my body everywhere, spending hours trying to find a vein. And I was so dehydrated, I couldn't even find a vein if I wanted to. And I would walk like 20 blocks to my friend's house just for him to shoot me up because I could not do it myself. Like I blew out a vein here, like, yeah. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Now, how do you end up getting arrested?
So I had another druggie friend who had another druggie friend. It was a girl. She was from Jersey. She had no place to stay. I knew that she sold. And she, she's like, look, I just like 2 weeks. Can I stay with you? I'll make sure you're taken care of. I'll give you stuff. That was pretty much the thing. So I did not know anyone from Jersey. When you live in New York, you don't go to Jersey. Jersey comes to you. That's just how it is. And I wouldn't be called dead. So it was like, there was this whole straight group of kids that I never was associated with. I didn't know because I didn't go to those straight clubs. Some would come to the gay clubs, but I didn't know them. And girls, we always felt more fun and free in the gay club because we knew, first of all, we weren't going there to get laid or meet somebody or anything. We just had a great time and there was no expectation or anything. You just have fun. And, then it kind of started to change. That guys started to realize that. So the scene kind of changed a little bit. So there was these kids. I didn't know them. She knew them. There was one guy she knew. He came over once but he didn't have anything or anything like that. I think he got something from her. I'm not really even sure. And he talked to me once. One time I called him. I was looking for something. He didn't have anything. He asked me for something and I said, "Well, let me ask my another friend, maybe he does." And he did. And he asked me, like if he came, I got in the car with him, he drove around the block, I gave it to him, I gave my friend the money. He didn't even give me $1 out of it or anything else out of it. So I was like, well, I got screwed there.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I was helping a friend out,
Yeah.
kind of, so to speak.
How much was it?
I
How much
think it was
meth?
like an 8 ball.
Okay.
Yeah. And later to find out after I was arrested. So let me go back a little bit. So I kicked the girl out because her shenanigans and sketchiness. Like, I was never sketchy on meth. A lot of people get very, very sketchy, like looking out the window every 2 seconds, and I was like, get the fuck out.
Tweaking.
Yeah, totally tweaking. And I was like, I wasn't like that. And I did not want to be around people like that. So she got strange and I was like, get out, get out. So she got out. A few days later, just at my wit's end, I called my mom and I said, I need to come home. I need to come home. And she said, of course. And she bought me a ticket. I came, I think, with just like my glasses and my ID. I didn't even have a bag or anything. And she's like, well, how, do you want to stay? So I need a while. I wasn't sure how long, but I knew I just needed to remove myself out of there. So I'm in Florida and we're washing our little Maltese in the sink. And I think it's like 10:30 at night and there's a knock at the door, which is not normal. And it's two police and they say, is Nicole Bobek here? And I'm like, yeah, that's me. And they're like, we have a warrant for your arrest. And they wouldn't say for what. And my mom's like freaking out and she's like, what do you mean warrant? And he's like, look, we just got a thing that says Hudson County has a warrant for her arrest and we're supposed to pick her up. And I didn't even know where Hudson County was. I didn't even know it was part of Jersey. I had no clue. So I go to jail here and it was just horrible.
Gun club?
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. And I had my underwear stolen. Some girl tried to fight with me. I was there about 4 days and got a lawyer. He was no help because Hudson County was not giving them any information why I was arrested, what was the warrant for. They would not release what was the warrant for. And so I didn't even know like what was going on at all. So yeah, gun club was it's bad. It's really bad. So then my mom was supposed to visit that next day. And that day, 2 officers came and said, we're going to go to Jersey or Hudson County. And I was like, why? I didn't even know my mom was going to come that day. They almost arrested my mom because she waited there like 6 hours. And then they told her, oh, they took her this morning.
She lost her shit.
She lost her shit.
Yep.
Yeah, she lost her shit. And they're like, man, we're going to arrest you. And I was like, oh, I hear this. She told me the story later. I was like, oh my God, Mom, that would have been even better. So I get to Hudson County and, still don't know what's going on. I get up in the room with all the girls, and one girl's like, oh, you know this guy? He was my boyfriend. And I was just like, I don't know him. I met him like twice, like I have no idea. So then it came out that he was being followed, and they had me on camera getting in the car with him, and they assumed I had 2 ounces of meth on me. I never even had an ounce in my life.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, and I'm like, so you assumed I had all this stuff, yet you never raided my place. You never searched me. Even when I was in jail, you never even drug tested me.
Mhm.
None of these things. So it became such a mess of what was going on. Like none of the pieces, they just had me on 2 conversations in this video and realized I had no link to this drug ring, basically, that they arrested. There was no ties except me knowing one person. And it was bringing a little fish to get a big fish.
Mhm.
That's what it was.
Mm.
And they ended up only giving me conspiracy. But the last day there, I was supposed to be released. My mom's sitting downstairs. There was press outside. I didn't know there was press outside. And I had all these officers walking by the bunk bed, and they're all just staring at me. And I'm like, what the hell is going on? And I went to the desk, and she's like, I said, do you know what I'm going to be? She's like, we're waiting till the press leaves. And I said, what? She said, yeah, you're all over the radio. And I was gone from skating for so long. It didn't even cross my mind. It would even get public knowledge.
What year was this when you were
2005.
okay?
Yeah. I had like no clue.
Mm.
Like it was like, oh my God. And it was like on CNN. It was like all over. Yeah. It was like, and nobody was there except my mom. All those people, all those agents, all that, nobody came. My mom was the only one sitting there.
Mm.
Yeah. And I destroyed her.
Yeah.
Yeah. I destroyed her.
So, how long do you sit in Hudson County for?
A week.
A week.
Mm-hmm.
And then the judge gave you a bail.
Yeah.
Mom posted bail
Mom
for
posted
you.
bail.
You
Yeah.
get out. Now, were you allowed to leave the state and go back to Florida?
I was allowed. They did allow it, but and I wanted to be out. I did not want to be in New York anymore. I was like, no, we're done.
Mhm.
We're good. I got no problem. And moved back and just try to rebuild my life. And it was hard. I mean, I went through stages. I think I was in a fog for a long time. I did have a few people reach out. Billy Corrigan, uh, that I met many years before, did try to reach out. Um, I think he tried to help me in his own way because it was also kind of like, well, are you guys dating or what's the issue kind of a thing? And, he's a huge rock star and I have a lot of respect for him, but I wasn't ready to really accept any kind of almost healing thing. It was like I almost really had to go through it my way. And
Mhm.
instead of somebody going, well, you need to go this way, I also had another person, who's overly Christian, good for her, amazing, but also wanted me to use that kind of route. And I felt hypocritical to that because I didn't want to be the cliche that people always kind of like, I'm using God as my crutch of God saved me and that's why I'm out and that's why I'm clean, because
Mhm.
that wasn't the case with me.
Yeah.
So, and I struggled with God for a while with my faith. I really had to come back to it coming from me. And also realizing no matter all the prayers or all these things, because you can sit here and say, why did you let me go through this, God? how could you do this to me? You know, please help me get out of jail. Nothing's happening. Nothing's happening. It doesn't work like that. You
Yeah.
know, God, please just send me $1 million. It will help me right now so much. It's not
Right.
going to happen.
Right.
Instead of turning it around and realizing that he's not going to do that, but God gives you the tools
Strength.
to make that happen. And it's about you learning in life how to use those tools correctly to the best of your ability. And until people realize that, like, it's not about like, oh, I go to church and I'm like this and I talk about God. I say, he's my homie. I got church here. He's inside here. I don't need to do it. Sometimes I'm more religious than others. I do wear a cross. Sometimes I don't. It's how I'm feeling, but God's in me and I'm good. I just didn't want to be that poster child of, oh no, well, now she's all Christian. You know what I mean? So yeah. I mean, I know people meant good to try to help me, but I really had to figure it out my own way.
Yeah. You had your own
Yeah.
path.
And then we had that whole year of going to the court, reliving that thing. And then, of course, the prosecutors saying we need an extension. Meanwhile, you know, losing money like crazy, the flight, the airport, trying to fix my teeth, trying to fix my face, trying to
Attorney
get healthy.
fees.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you're bouncing back and forth. How many years? So 2005, you were arrested. You got brought to Hudson County. How many years were you going back and forth?
About a year and a half.
Okay. So
Yeah.
we're probably in like 07 at this point.
Yeah.
And what ultimately happens? You get
So prosecutor wanted me, it's so long ago, it's so hard to even remember, wanted me to go to jail for 2 years and felt I didn't learn anything and all this kind of a stuff. And I remember I spoke up after her, which you're not allowed to in court. And I was like, I think I said, are you kidding me? Like my whole life has been completely destroyed. They went on national TV saying before anything was proven in a court of law or anything, just by speculation, that I was ahead of a drug ring and they caught a big drug lord.
I'm laughing because it's so absurd.
And I lived it. I mean, it just
Yeah.
like, you know, and my mom was getting hate mail from mothers.
Oh,
Like my son died because of people like your daughter and things like that. And still today people are not very forgiving towards it. There are people who just will not do it. And like my mom, even at some point, I remember talking with her, you know, and she'd be like, oh, I could kill, you know, the guy who gave you the drugs. I said, you can't because he didn't hold a gun to my head.
Yeah.
That was my decision.
Yep.
Yeah, you can be influenced by people, but the real person, we make our choices, whether we want to be strong about them or not. And I made that choice. Nobody made me do it. Nobody forced me to do it. That's why I did the book, because it's about recognizing and owning your shit. You got to own your mistakes. And I don't feel if you don't own them, you don't really move forward in life. You know, you really need and able to grow. And every day we grow, every day we learn, every day we move forward. And we have to. Otherwise, you just make the same circle all of the time and you never move forward. You never grow. We got to grow.
Yeah.
Yeah. My alignment coach taught me, which I say every single day, my depression is my past. My anxiety is my future. I live in the now. And that's exact. I say it like 10 times a day.
I love that.
Yeah.
Was that your last drug use when you were arrested and everything and you went through all that?
I've done, there was a period where we were at a party and there was Coke and I did a bump, but
Yeah.
I walked away. It's just not the same.
Yeah.
It's not the same.
Yeah.
You know, even if it's there, it's like, you kind of killed it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like,
Yeah.
yeah.
So ultimately, you haven't touched a drug in 14 years. No. And now, do you addressed it a little bit before, but you know, do you go to meetings or no? Okay. So Rise Above, we are so open-minded. Everyone has their own way of recovering.
Yeah.
I go to 12-step meetings. pure abstinence, et cetera, et cetera. But
Mhm.
I also know people who were scared straight and don't ever pick up
It's
a substance, a drug, whatever it
same
is,
thing.
forever.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
do you think, because it sounds like it ruined that party that was going on in New York and that
Oh,
time
totally.
that you were living, which, I mean, it sounded really exciting. I'm not going to lie. But, you know, did you have any urges since then? Or were there any instances where, your mind kind of ran with it and thought maybe I could go back to that and try it one more time?
Not strong enough that would make me wanna do it. Um, my priorities majorly changed, and once your priorities change about things, and after learning from that horrific experience, it's like, you could have it right here, and I would be like, "Have fun." It's just not my thing anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I have a child now, I went through a divorce, you know, I love life. I don't wanna be in that place again.
Yeah.
And it's a dead end street. It always is a dead end street. That's the thing.
Mhm.
And no, I like being a mom.
Yeah.
I like living. Yeah.
What has your son done for you?
Oh God. He has changed my whole entire life. I after the whole arrest thing, I uh started skating again. I started doing some aerial stuff on the ice. So I joined a circus in Miami school and learned how to do that. And then I met my ex husband, and I didn't have much going on, and he said, "Well, I have to go on tour." And I ran away with the circus for 7 years,
Wow. Traveling all over
traveling all over.
the US?
Nope, Europe. Yep,
Wow.
we did 6 months in Denmark, we did 6 months in England, we did 6 months in Norway, we did 9 months in France. Yeah, we
Okay.
yeah. We
So,
little tiny caravan,
yep.
porta potty and all.
Mm.
Yep,
All right. So you two hit it off.
yep,
You end up getting married.
yep.
You have your child together.
Well, the child was, a whole 'nother story. We tried, I think, for about 5 years and just wasn't happening. Wasn't happening. We did do IVF twice in Florida and failed miserably, and then took a year off, and then I was like, "Let's try again." And I didn't wanna do it in Florida, so we knew of a doctor in Spain, and it was 20 grand less. We said, "Let's try." So, he got off of work because he was working, and, we went to Spain for a month, and it worked on the first try.
Wow.
Mhm,
That is a miracle.
mhm.
And your son's 5.
He's 5.
So this was right before COVID,
Yeah.
like 2019 when you were in
Mhm.
Spain.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
And pregnancy was a nightmare.
I can
By the
imagine.
time I gave birth, I was 230 pounds.
Healthy weight. A lot of ice cream.
Yeah, I mean,
Honey, get me
my
ice
my
cream.
my breasts were, like, under my armpits. I didn't even it was so bad. I didn't even know where my butt ended and my leg began because it just was like this, and I was miserable. I was
Yeah.
so miserable because I've never been that big in my life. I was a penguin. I was like they were rolling me to try to induce me, and, like, I was just like a sack of potatoes. It was horrible. It was so bad. And, you know, they tried to induce me, didn't happen. 12 hours later, went in for emergency C-section, uh, had this beautiful little boy, and he was colic for
Mhm.
7 weeks. And my husband at the time had to go back to work, and I went to my mom's, and he never stopped crying.
Mm.
I probably have the worst trauma over than anything because when I hear a baby cry, it takes me back. I mean, it was horrible. It was really it to be with a colic child and a new mom and you try everything you can to soothe your child and there's nothing. They just have to go through it.
Mhm.
And some people even last longer. And it was difficult.
Mm.
And at that point I realized I planned to go back on the circus and raise our kid and go back to our regular life. I went, I'm not raising this child on a circus.
Yeah.
I can't do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I went through way too much. And he wasn't eating, and I stopped eating. I stopped eating for 2 months.
Yeah.
I didn't put a piece of food in my mouth.
What,
So I lost all of the weight, but
what,
everything sagged. Everything,
stop.
everything went south
Stop.
very fast. Well, because when you have that
No.
amount of weight and you lose it so
Yeah.
rapidly and not the healthy way and not through exercise, of course it's going to go south. So everything went south, but I was skinny as a rail.
Yeah.
Again, back to skinny as a rail.
Yeah.
And then my husband and I at the time, then the arguments came. Then the COVID kicked in. He had an accident. He got a DUI,
Mm.
and he had to come back. He had to do the 90/90. He did not do well with that. He really struggled, and he couldn't drive. Uh, I had to drive him. We were stuck in a condo, and circus people do not stay in one place. That's what he's 8th generation circus. So this is what they've always done and always traveled. They have their home, but they're not there. They're maybe a month, and that's about it.
Mm-hmm.
And with him coming off of what happened with the accident and everything, uh, it just all we did was fight. All we did, and then I had to tell him that I was going to plan not to go back on the circus, and then everything exploded. I did. We moved out of the condo, bought a house in Hope Sound, trying to make things better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
Yep. And then it was just one thing after another. And I think we got to a point that it was like, this
Yeah.
is not, and it's not that I love him. I'll always love him. He's
Yeah.
the father of my child. But love changes shape also. And that's what people don't understand is like you grow differently with love. I've reconnected with old friends now, and it's like that invisible string has always been there when you have a connection with somebody, I've learned. And it's not that I've communicated with all of my exes and always have. And recently when I couldn't, and because of this book, I've been able to do that. And it's like, we never missed a minute. It's just, it's mind blowing. And I think relationships are really difficult, but our priorities in the relationship are different. And my exes were he wanted to continue on, and I wanted to be stay at home mom. And we couldn't find a happy medium.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was beautifully said about the
Mm.
relationships in life and how we
Yeah.
love someone and how that changes over time.
Yeah.
I went
Yeah.
through something very similar. We had my ex-wife and I had my daughter Lumi, who is 6, in 2019. And I mean, I don't. You didn't say this, but it sounds like you had some postpartum. I
Meth was easier.
No, but you want to know what? And I own this and take accountability. I didn't know much at all about postpartum when my ex was going through postpartum. I was not supportive during postpartum. And I mean, I take that fault.
I think it's very difficult to be. I mean, because like we don't even know. Like
Yeah.
it's like, you're supposed to be the happiest person in the world, and it's like this wave. Kids don't come with instruction manuals.
Right.
We're just going, and I'm like thinking like, well, I'm going to find a mom group. But that doesn't work either because all moms are on different schedules.
Right.
And my kids asleep at 7:30 every single night. I don't change that for nothing. And others are like, oh, let them stay up, like to 10, 11. And I'm like, you're out of your mind. What am I going to do with them? Like, seriously.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's really hard. I mean, relationships are so important in our lives. And I was abused physically abused by an ex, and I forgave him. And I was mentally abused by an ex, and I also forgave him. I was sexually abused when I was 5 also. I forgave my abuser because he confronted me and admitted and apologized, which to me was the biggest thing in the world.
Wow.
Yeah. And because, people are like, that's, I said, no, I forgave. Because my memory of that didn't come back till I was 10 years old. And when that happened, told my mom and aunt and addressed that person with it. And he broke down and fully admitted it. And I forgave him.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. I no,
You're like,
that's
anything else?
I don't want to say it's a beautiful thing because what happened to you was terrible.
Right.
But like the fact that it came full circle, there was accountability taken, that still does not
Yes.
make what he did okay.
Right. Right.
But you had a chance to heal.
Yes.
And
yes.
my next question is then, what has the forgiveness with the exes, with everyone in life, done for you? Because that is a tool in recovery when we practice forgiveness. Because we don't want to hold those resentments towards people.
Right.
Because it makes us sick.
And also understanding those forgiveness things that you can also be able to understand where those forgivenesses come from. And not all forgivenesses make you feel better. They're almost sad. Because then you kind of go around and going, well, I shouldn't have had to forgive you. You know, then you get that mind game of this and that. And for me, forgiving is almost me accepting the mistake. It's not even like making the other person feel better that they made a mistake. It's about me being okay that happened. And I've had to forgive myself. Most of the things that happened to me were pretty much all of them were all my own accountable mistakes. And I had guilt. I had guilt for a long time about it because I just didn't know how to deal with it. And instead of saying, you know what, it's okay. It happened. It's called the past for a reason. What are you doing now not to ever let that happen and move forward in your life and be a tool to maybe be able to help somebody else to get out of that abusive relationship that you can. It's up to you. You know, don't be the woman who says, well, I have to stay with him because I have no money and, you know, all this stuff. And you complain to your friends, oh, he beats me. And, you know, by the second time they say, oh, he beat me again. Well, honey, that's on you.
Yeah.
That's on you then. And that's exactly what happened to me. I got beat up and I forgave. And the second time it happened, I went, no. And I packed my stuff and I got out of there.
Yeah.
I said, no, I'm not doing this. Not doing this. And because nobody's going to save you, really. You're going to have people who's going to reach out their hand, but you got to make those first steps to grab that hand.
Yeah.
And that comes from you. We have power within more than we think. We are in control of our emotions, of what we will allow to affect us and what we won't allow. And people say, oh, your walls are high. I said, no. They're my self-respect. Yeah.
So you just got done writing your book and you released it last month. Can you tell people the name of your book and where can they find it?
My book, The Wild One, you can find it on Amazon or order it on Barnes & Noble. I'm also at Nicole Bobek 77 on Instagram. And you can go to my webpage, NicoleBobek.com, where I have videos, costumes for sale. You can also get autographed copybooks there. And I'm doing a live stream November 22nd, so you can register there and ask me questions.
So, now I have to release this before November 22nd. You said 22nd, right?
Yeah, November 22nd.
Tight timeline. Okay, I got 11 days. Well, I want to thank you, Nicole.
Thank you
Your
so much.
story is
Unexpected.
Unexpected, and it's going to help a lot of people.
I hope so.
You are a warrior. You've faced adversity a number of times in your life, and I appreciate you taking the accountability as well. And
I think it feels good when you're able to do that too.
Yeah.
And I think that just comes in time. It's not like, oh, here, make it happen. You know, we buy food. It's not always ready. You have to make it.
Right.
You got to put the ingredients in and, you know.
Yeah, we evolve.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Thank you again.
Thank you so much.